Hey YouTube, Elite Legionarii here, bringing you the first Medieval 2 Total War Kingdoms battle. This is for the Crusades expansion on Kingdoms. I'm playing as the Kingdom of Jerusalem, and my opponent, the Swedish Landsknecht, who is another great commentator, so I'll link him in the description. He will appreciate your views. He's playing as Egypt. And like I said, I put that request video up to get some battles for these, because I've been trying to get battles for these for months and nobody seems to be taking any bites, but I got desperate, so I put a video up on my channel to try and get you guys interested, and a few of you have shown interest, so I'm very, very thankful. So this is on the flat Crusade map. As you can see, basically a flat map with a nice bit of hill on the side there. So I just might pause very quickly while I outline the army. So in the front, I have 2 units of Templar gunners. I wanted to use these guys to just shoot him up and reduce the morale of his infantry units. And behind them, I had a couple of Templar spearmen mixed in. I had 2 Templar spearmen mixed in with 4 Templar crossbowmen. So the crossbowmen will be my main missile force, and the gunners will just do morale damage, and the spearmen is there just to protect from any charge. But the main power of a I forgot these dismounted Knights of Jerusalem. These are the best infantry unit available to the Kingdom of Jerusalem, and I mean they're pretty decent, but they're nothing spectacular. So infantry wise, the Kingdom of Jerusalem only very average. It's decent enough to perform what you need, but you're not going to get any spectacular results out of your infantry. However, when it comes to cavalry, that is where the Kingdom of Jerusalem is excellent. My general's unit is in this unit of Constable of Jerusalem. This is a double strength cavalry unit. It's got 61 men, well 60 men, well there are 61 guys to general, so this normal cavalry unit is 30 on this scale, on normal scale, so this is a double strength cavalry unit. On the right I have 2 units of Marshal of the Templars. Now, Marshal of the Templar units are very good because they have the same stats as a Knights Templar, but they also have 2 hit points. So you may remember, guys, that the General's Bodyguard units and stuff have 2 hit points, which makes it very tough. They last a long time. Well, this is a full cavalry unit, 2 full cavalry units here, and they've both got 2 hit points. This is a very good cavalry unit. And on the right, I have 3 units of Knights of Tripoli, which got the same stats as regular Knights Templars, but I kind of like the colouring of them more. They kind of look neat. So I got 3 of those for the left flank rather. So that's my force. Swedish Landsknecht's force is 4 units of Desert Archers. He has 3 units of Saracen Militia, which is spear units. He has, Egypt now possesses some pretty good infantry units. He's got this heavy infantry unit, these Al-Haka infantry, so they're not in the base game, and they are actually about equal with my dismounted Knights of Jerusalem, so they're a good infantry unit, a good core infantry unit. Behind them he's got 2 Napatoons, so I have to be careful of those because they could rout me pretty quickly if I don't watch them, and a Tabataria. And the 2-hander units in this game, in the Kingdoms expansion, are no longer under the glitch I always talk about, and they've got a great deal more defense, so they are a serious threat now, whereas in the base game they weren't that much of a threat because they would always glitch, which they won't do anymore. And because they got extra defense points that are nearly as good as Sword and Shield, and like heaps of attack, they are really threatening. So cavalry wise, he's got a General's Bodyguard over here and a Royal Mamluk, which quickly engage my Marshal of the Templars. He has a unit of Mamluk archers, and on the right he has a Royal Mamluk and 2 other Mamluks. So it's his force. So I rush up to put my guns into position, and I'm going to open up and try and reduce the morale. However, his archers are likely going to be a nuisance there, but the odd stray shot should slip through here. As you can see, my Marshal of the Templars are very quickly defeating even Royal Mamluks, which are an excellent cavalry force. In terms of cavalry, Egypt is very good, but my Marshal of the Templars, because their double hit points, are so very good, so he has to get out of this fight because he knows he's going to lose, and he knows if he loses his cavalry, he'll likely lose the fight because Egyptian infantry, well, if he uses his Napatoons right, he should be okay. So I brought my guys up and started targeting the Napatoons. When I saw him pull out, I decided to just disengage and go after his Napatoons, because if his Napatoons hit my infantry enough, they will mass rout very quickly. So I'm going to use my Constable of Jerusalem, which I managed to rout his Royal Mamluk with, and catch his other bodyguard and try and rout it. Now he does do a pretty good job of protecting his Napatoons as he draws them into the centre. However, I pulled off a unit of my Knights of Tripoli, which are getting pretty cream now over here because they're up against 3 cavalry units there too, but I'm going to be able to destroy these enemy turns, which is very, very handy to do. While this is happening, I could go after his archers, but I decided to ignore those. I'm going to go after his C-graded infantry because they're more of a threat, and I'm going to rush up right now and take advantage of the chaos in his line. So over here, I pulled my 2 Templar sergeants in to assist the cav fight. My guys my 2 Triple E Knights I left behind did get pretty thrashed, but that's because there was 3 cavalry units against them, so they were outnumbered. But it allowed me to get rid of those Napa turns, and I killed his general as well.
Now we must send his men running back to the desert.
So I quickly engaged his infantry, and he does use his spear militia to absorb a lot of the charge from them, so it was a pretty smart move. However, I've still got a lot of cavalry roaming his flanks, and he's lost a lot of cohesion because I took advantage of the chaos there. So anyway, I'm going to get a nice rear charge here, and that should rout these guys over here, pretty much. I believe it does rout them in a moment. Well, they're shaken up. Yeah, there you go, they're gone. So I hold 4 infantry and just routed
enemy force remains.
However, he does go after my some of my missile units here, which I thought was a mistake, to be honest, because it's basically allowed me to completely clean out the rest of his army up here. So if I lose my missile units, he's going to lose all his other army, and he won't get rid of all my missile units easily. The thing is, missile units, particularly crossbowmen, are actually kind of tricky to rout at times if you don't do it well. They will hold in there for a while. And I got spear units coming in to support, although at the moment I think I was microing over here, so that's why they're standing still. But this is allowing me to do a lot of damage to his cavalry, and whilst this is happening, I'm able to effectively basically rout his whole main line. But he does keep retreating his archers so he can get some shots on me. And over here, his 2 handy units, Tabata Rear, is going after my dismounted Knights of Jerusalem. Now, if this had been the base game, these Knights would easily cream these Tabata Rear because they'd start glitching. But they won't do that this time around, and they've got a lot more defense, so I'm getting pretty handed to me pretty bad here in this fight. So I send in the unit of Marshal the Templars to even the playing field, but as you can see, they held out pretty well even against that. But it does even the fight back in my favour. However, he's going to quickly come in with his own cav charge with his Mamluks, and he's going to take the favour away from me again. As you can see over here, he gives up on getting rid of my missiles, and I still have significant numbers left.
Our men are winning the battle.
So
if we continue like this, we will smash the enemy.
Whilst it's happening, I've been able to engage his infantry over here again, which just regrouped. I'm not giving them any chance to regroup. Same with his archer units over here. And you see, his Napa turns could have easily routed my infantry, which is why I was so very willing to actually completely sacrifice one side of the cav fight, because I'd already won on this side, so I was willing to sacrifice that side of the fight to get those Napa turns.
We've lost half of our men.
So, because those Napa turns, just a few hits from them could have easily routed my entire infantry corps, because that's just how bad they are in enemy morale. So, if you're up against Napa turns, you should put efforts to get rid of them as quickly as possible, but you shouldn't go all hardcore and risk your whole battle plan on it, but you don't want them hanging around if you can help it, because they are a very dangerous unit. So he's going to single out some of my infantry here, some cav charges, which is a bit of a nuisance, but I wasn't too worried at this stage because I know I've pretty much won. His guys will eventually rout here because they're getting pretty thinned out. He did do a lot of damage in that charge, but I've got my own cavalry coming in. I still have quite a lot of my own cavalry still going around, and I'm just routing off the rest of his archer units if possible. But just many thanks to the Swedish Landsneak for playing me here, because this was, as I said, I've been looking to get some of these Kingdoms games for quite a long time now, quite a lot of months, because I don't know, I'll ask people in the Medieval 2 lobby and they just don't want to do it. But if you're in the Medieval 2 lobby, just look for a chap named Servant to Lord, that's me, and I will play Kingdoms with you. Very likely I will, unless I have to randomly leave or I'm already preoccupied. But if you say you'll play Kingdoms with me, I'm very inclined to play, because as I said, I really want to get videos. So at this stage, I'm just picking off what's left of his guys, but he did put up a pretty good fight there in the end to keep me at bay, but I am managing to rout him. So the Kingdom of Jerusalem is...
Let it be a salve upon our wounds.
Kingdom of Jerusalem is definitely probably my favourite from the Crusades expansion. I wouldn't call it the best faction, but it's just my favourite. I just like it. Kind of reminds me of that movie Kingdom of Heaven. If you like the Crusades one, if you want my opinion, the best faction is probably the Kingdom Antioch, although the Byzantine Empire is also very close. With, probably Antioch though, it's got nearly as good a cavalry as the Kingdom of Jerusalem, but it has a lot better infantry and just as good a missile unit, so it gives it an advantage. So here's the stats, very close. I got 692 kills and 165 captures, so that puts me probably just over 800 there, and he has 612 and 23 captures. So pretty even. I had about 15 more men than him, so pretty even numbers there, so a really good fight. Only an average victory, but any battle against the Swedish Landsknecht is tricky. He's a very good Medieval 2 player, and I'll link his channel in the description, and I advise you guys to go look. If you like my stuff, or at Medieval 2, he's just as good at me at Medieval 2, so if not better in some cases. I've seen him play pretty well, and he's told me things that I didn't know about Medieval 2, so he's probably actually better than me. There's the stats. As you can see, the Constable of Jerusalem, the Marshals, Templars, very well. Those 2 Tripoli Knights that I sacrificed to hold down his 3 cav there so I could get rid of his Nafatoons to help me win the main fight. So they didn't do very well, but they are a good cavalry unit. As you can see, the other one did very well, 56 there, more than it lost. So they are a good cavalry unit. It's just I gave them a pretty suicidal fight there, but it allowed me to win a much more important part of the fight, so sometimes you want to do that. So the Dismounted Knights of Jerusalem, pretty even all around the field. They're about even with that old Huckler infantry. They're nothing spectacular. They're reliable, they're decent, but they're not super infantry like some of the others. It's about the cavalry with the Kingdom of Jerusalem. And if we look at the missile units, those Templar crossbowmen did do pretty well, even though they got charged. And the gunners, they caused a bit of a morale shock. Templar sergeants, they didn't really get to do that much, but they did hold them up a bit, had them running around a bit so I could win the major fight. But again, all about the cavalry. And this is a thing you're going to typically see in all medieval fights, is just cavalry getting all the kills if you're using them right. But particularly for factions like the Kingdom of Jerusalem and stuff, because they're good with cavalry. So anyway, it says his name's Nexus here, that's just his Medieval 2 name, so but it is the Swedish Landsknecht, so great game to him. Thanks for playing, man, I appreciate it. And I got a couple more that battles I had against him, and I will aim to bring you more kingdoms in future if possible. So hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon next time.